Alright, I know you're not going to be able to see real well, but we're going to do the best we can to put this starter in. We have the 2 bolts in the starter here, and the bolts go this way. So like I always do, I'm going to put a touch of grease on the bolts, even though they never come greased. Starter in here. Yep, it just slips right in. That's it. Okay, and we're going to torque these to 15 foot. Perfect. Now I can put the cover back on without too much aggravation, I hope. Lined up. Alright, I got the one on the top is in. I'm going to go for the bottom one, if I can see that. I think. And that one's in. And up here I've got to push the metal down a little bit. It looks like maybe pick up on the cover at the same time. There you go. We got that one started. Yep, we got that one started. That one's a bit of a not started. So all 5 are installed. So let's tighten those down. This one. So we're going to tighten these to 60-inch pounds. Looks good to me. Alright, so the starter is installed. Now all we gotta do is hook the wires up. We're gonna put this plate back on. And then before I do that, I'm gonna hit it. We'll get the wires on next, and then we'll see if it cranks over. It should be good to go. Yeah, going around the other side. Okay, with this vehicle, well, so with this machine, there's a ground switch. This is a battery switch, and it goes through the ground cable. So that goes to the negative side of the battery, and you have this negative cable that goes to the engine block. These cables are probably 6 gauge by looking at it, so they ought to be adequate for this tiny little engine. And you have this short jumper that's going to go from here to the starter, and they do have a red cover over that to protect it when you put it on there. And you want to put that back on so nothing falls on that positive post. So when I took this apart, there's 2 ground wires that are tied together, and I labeled those. Those go to this ground stud right here. That's where they go. You have your negative cable that I removed that's going to also go to the block, and that goes to the negative switch up top. So I got to snake that back up to the switch up here. And then you have this short battery cable, and the short battery cable does have a plastic end to protect it from anything falling on it, and that goes in the positive side of the battery. And what I noticed was the stud on the battery is very small, but this terminal is very large. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this end terminal and put a smaller one on here. I have smaller ones for that. The larger one can go to this stud, and even that, it's big. So I'm going to change this cable. I'm going to make another one up and put smaller cable ends on it, crimp it on there, and heat shrink it. So you got a better connection. And I think I've got some 4 gauge cable that'll work good for that. So let me get that made up. All right, here's the old 6 gauge cable, and here's the new 4 gauge cable I made. Touch longer, but it'll fit right in there. So we're going to get that hooked up. I got to get the 2 wires on the starter. So we've got a red wire that's going to go with a positive cable, and then you're going to have the blue wires, the excitation. And then again, these 2 grounds go to the block there, so I'll get that all hooked up. All right, well, I got the starter in, I got the cable made, I got everything hooked up. I got 1 cord here I missed, the voltage regulator, so I got to hook that back up. So let's double check your work. I got 1 hidden wire in here I got to hook up, so I got to do that. But it starts right up, maybe. sounds good. So we get that one cable hooked up so it'll charge. Then we gotta change the oil. Then I gotta figure out how to change the hydraulic fluid in this thing because it's real jerky.